Okay, let's dive into a world that made a trade. It traded freedom for safety. A world that picked a quiet, comfortable cage over the messy, chaotic world of choice. We're going to explore this chilling alternate history, a world saved from nuclear fire only to be smothered by a strange, soul-crushing kind of peace.
Imagine waking up tomorrow and everything is gray. All the logos, the ads, the jingles, gone. There's no Nike swoosh, no Apple logo, no Coca-Cola. It's a world where the very idea of a grand is just some dusty old word from a history book.
Everything you own is just functional. It works, it's durable, but it has zero personality. Your car isn't a statement about who you are, it's just a tool to get you from A to B. Your phone isn't your personal window to the world, it's a state-issued device. This isn't some minimalist trend, it's reality. A world where being an individual was traded in for being uniform.
So you have to wonder, right? How did this happen? How did the loud, colorful, chaotic world of the 20th century just fade to beige? Well, to understand this silent present, we've got to go back. Back to a single moment when history took a very, very sharp turn. We're heading back to the 1980s, a time when the entire planet was holding its breath, constantly on the edge of nuclear war. The whole world was balanced on a knife's edge, held in place by one single, terrifying idea.
For decades, the one thing that kept the missiles from flying was this crazy paradox: mutually assured destruction. You know it as MAD. The logic was simple and completely insane. Nobody would be dumb enough to push the button because the moment they did, they were signing their own death warrant. It was a global suicide pact that somehow actually kept the peace.
And then, in 1983, that whole foundation just crumbled. The mutually part of the equation, it just vanished. One side suddenly had a trump card that made them immune. The balance of terror was officially broken.
The breakthrough was a secret Soviet program called Project Perun. Yeah, named after the Slavic god of thunder. Pretty ominous, right? It was a fully working missile shield in orbit. Suddenly, the Soviet Union could launch a full-scale nuclear attack, and any missiles fired back at them would just get zapped out of the sky. Their shield had become the ultimate weapon.
And to make sure everybody got the message, they didn't just send a telegram. Oh no, they put on a show. They broadcast a live feed to the UN, showing a satellite just, poof, vaporized in orbit by a laser from the ground. The message couldn't have been clearer. The West's entire nuclear arsenal was now useless. The Cold War was over, and the West had lost without a single shot fired.
What came next wasn't a war. It was a fast, humiliating collapse. The old world order didn't just change, it was completely flipped upside down, and the fallout was immediate and devastating.
I mean, just look at this timeline. Look how fast it all unraveled. By 1985, the US is forced to scrap its nukes. 2 years later, NATO is dissolved. It's useless without its nuclear shield. And by the end of the decade, the US dollar is worthless, kicking off a depression that made the 1930s look like a minor dip. The American century was over. Just like that. So, from the ashes of that old world, a new one rises. The Soviet Union isn't a rival superpower anymore. They're the superpower, and they rebrand into something bigger, the Global Socialist Union. And this table, wow, it lays out the complete 180-degree flip. Europe, now part of the GSU, becomes this stable, prosperous, new first world. And the United States? It's basically relegated to a poor, isolated, failed state. The powerhouse of the 20th century became the world's biggest cautionary tale. In this new world, they have an internet, but it's nothing like what we know. It's called the Globinet. And yeah, it's super fast, super efficient, but it's completely locked down. Imagine an internet with no social media, no YouTube, no blogs, no memes. It's a one-way street for information, a massive, powerful tool for state propaganda disguised as progress. And that brings us back to where we started, the present day, 2025 in this timeline. We get it now. We see how this quiet, sterile world was born. This was the price they paid for peace. They were saved from nuclear war, but in exchange, they were locked in this comfortable, gilded cage. Life here isn't brutal, you know? It's just bland. When there's no profit motive, no fame to chase, ambition just sort of withers. The art is perfect, technically, but it has no soul. In short, there's a new elite of party officials living a little better than everyone else,
But the class divide isn't about wealth, it's about power. And it's a gap you can never, ever cross. But even in a world this scrubbed clean, you can't completely kill the human spirit. It's just hiding. It's flickering in the shadows on these encrypted offline networks they call Samizdat 2.0, a little nod to the old Soviet dissidents. In this world, the heroes aren't CEOs or movie stars. They're librarians and hackers, risking everything to share banned books and old American movies from before 1989, just to remember what it was like to be chaotic and free. And that leaves us with the big, chilling question at the heart of this whole thing. The world avoided Armageddon, but what did it cost? This final thought really says it all. The revolution didn't free anyone. It just built a better cage. It traded the messy, vibrant human spirit for a quiet, predictable conformity. And it really makes you ask yourself, is a life without risk, without the freedom to fail, is that really a life worth living at all?